Before we get started, it might have been a little while for some of you reading these kinds of articles, so we're going to do a quick crash course in how to make meaning out of an academic article. So number one is we don't read every word, and I still struggle with this. I like reading every single word, but you don't have to. So the strategy that we're going to use is looking through some of your headers and your text features to get a feel for what this article is going to be about. So take about 1 minute to flip through and see what you think this article is going to be about based on some of those text features. So I know I didn't give you time to really read the whole article. That was the point. I'm trying to rush you through this a little bit. Just from some of those text features, the headings, maybe some of the illustrations and diagrams, some of the quotes that are featured, what things did you pick up about what this article is going to be about?
That it's your attitude as a teacher that can make it easier or more difficult for children to learn.
Good. So was there a specific point where you picked that up?
Title?
The title, yep. So reading the title is important. But again, I know lots of kids who skip the name of the chapter titles. So helping them zoom in, that you get important information from that. That's a good example. Anything else you guys picked up from the structure of this article? Some quotes. And so for me, the quote that really jumps off the page is on page 57. Where it says, some belief systems are better for children than others. Believing that language is learned as a hierarchy of skills results in lessons that limit rather than expand knowing. So what's the key idea that we're getting from that quote that's highlighted? What are some words that pop out from that quote?
The same things that are going to work for every kid.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to go through every step the same way at the same time. You skip steps.
Mm-hmm.
Still learn.
So knowing what this author is saying, so this author says that believing that language is learned as a hierarchy of skills results in lessons that limit rather than expand knowing. So in this teacher's classroom, do you think you're going to see a whole bunch of really structured skill work that everybody's doing the same thing at the same time? No. And why is that? Because she feels like that's not the way to reach her learners. That's her belief, right? So what we're going to do is we're not going to read the whole thing. We're just going to read one paragraph of it. And I wanted to introduce to you a structure for summarizing that's called a what, so what chart. So it's just a T-chart. And in this column you have the what, and in this column you have the so what. So somewhere in a little empty space on your article, if you will make the what, so what chart, and how this works is the what is the significant piece that we're taking away from the article. The so what is the implication for our lives. What is that significant? Why is it important? So we're going to read the first paragraph. I'll read it out loud because I know it's really small, so yeah. Teachers' classroom decisions are by no means random or accidental. Rather, whether or not a teacher is conscious of it, their practice is firmly rooted in their beliefs about learning and reflects a personal theory of what she believes effective teaching is all about. By looking at the literacy experiences a first grade teacher provided in her classroom, Harsht and Burke were able to tease out the theory that underpinned the teacher's curricular decisions. In so doing, they concluded that all teaching is theory-driven. So give me one what from that paragraph. What was something that was significant from your reading of that paragraph?
That even though you may not be conscious of what you're doing, it's still based on your beliefs and your theory. You're still doing it for a reason.
Okay, so our actions are informed by our beliefs, whether or not we know them. So that could be something we write in the what. Our actions as teachers are influenced by our beliefs, whether or not we know them. And then coming over to the so what column, why is that important for us as teachers of reading?
It's important for you to know yourself,
Okay.
what your beliefs are before you can stray through them.
Okay.
How other people are.
Okay, so we have to know ourselves and our own beliefs. That could be your so what. You might have had something else that popped into your brain, and you can write that down too. We all transact with text differently. And the cool thing is that you guys are my, I think, third group. I'm losing track now. But every group has come up with a slight variant on that. It's not been verbatim in any group for the what or the so what, even though we're reading the exact same paragraph. So what I would invite you to do now, we ran out of time the last time, so my fingers are crossed we'll have time, is to continue reading a little bit farther in this article and try to come up with one more what, so what pair, and we'll share at the end if there is time. We won't have time to finish this whole article, but you can take it with you and finish perusing it later. The so what chart is also, as you're working, it's a good strategy if you're working on note taking with your kids. I don't know about you guys, but my third graders and my kindergartners, they liked highlighting everything because highlighters are fun. So the what, so what helps them stop and think about, is that really significant, or was I just highlighting because I like highlighters? So it's a good strategy to use with your kids. All right, so I'm not sure how much time we have left because Dawn has hid the timer from me. So if you have already written down a new what so what pair, will you share it with someone near you? And if you need some more time to think, that's okay too. Just wanted to make sure. We have 15 seconds. Okay.
But I just noticed that the way this is what we teach, that's how they're going to write. The stories that they read, we just read those in basal stories, like our journeys, and you don't bring in other mentor texts and things like that, then that's how their writing's going to be as well.
She changed the sound. Cool. So it's a very interesting article, so you guys can read the rest on your own time. So you've had a little bit of a crash course in Kidwatching from your various centers today, from your choice article as well from your guided reading group with me. So we know that by watching our kids, we can gather important information that might not show up on a test or any of those kinds of more formal assessments. So to try this out today, we have some questions. What do you notice? What do the students know? What's the evidence for what the students know? And what would your next teaching moves be? So this is actually a s'more that I made about literate environments in a certain kindergarten classroom that I had a close relationship with because it was my own. So what we did was, this is a 1-minute clip on independent reading. The cool thing about this is that I did not realize everything that was going on in this clip until I watched it later. So try to pay close attention. I think we can blow it up so it takes the full screen. And see what you notice. I think it's the thing on the right next to Vimeo.
Do you want to read that one first? You want to read it?
All right, so So we'll watch this again in just a minute, but go ahead and think about some things that you noticed. I've watched this a lot of times, so I've had a lot of opportunities to notice lots of things, but it was really cool because when I took this video, I was only focusing on that girl in pink with the ponytail. That was my original plan. But as you noticed, there was a lot of other very interesting things going on. So take about a minute, fill out, you can talk with your group here about what did you notice, what did the kids already know, what's your evidence of that, what would your next teaching points be, and then I'll zoom you into some cool things that I noticed from the perspective of their teacher that you can see in the video we watch it the second time. So take about a minute and do that. All right, so if we can come back together, I know that was not much time and there's so much going on in this video. So as their teacher, I was just trying to record that I knew that Emily already had memorized the David book, and she was doing a beautiful job of tracking the print and going through. She had just finished reading it when I asked her to reread it. Some things that jumped out to me, and you can notice them as you come back through, was as they finished some of their morning work, they signed in to practice writing their names. This little girl here, who the cursor's on right now, seamlessly swoops in, sits down, and joins the reading experience. Instantly, the girl in the pink turns over and asks her, "What's this word?" So that tells me that they already know that they can use each other as resources, that we are all experts in different areas. So she knew that she could ask her for help in a book. So we have the little girl with the beads right here who seems engaged in her own book. Eventually, she joins the activity with no David, right? She looks over. Was she still engaged? Yes, she might not have been engaged in the book that was in her hands, but she was still constructing meaning with this group. And then lastly, Javion up there in the blue, he positions himself, and I don't know if you can see, but he starts reading along with the book. So even though we might be holding different books, they are all engaging with that No David book. I think Abby here at the bottom with the pigtails even looks up at one point as well. So instead of thinking that, oh, there's noise in that room, oh, they're not reading their books, thinking about what they know as readers, that it's a social experience, it's something that's enjoyed and constructed, and this was October in my kindergarten classroom, so you know, they're pretty new at this whole kindergarten thing. So watch it one more time and see if you noticed some things that were on your paper, build on those, and also maybe focus on those things that were really cool that I noticed too.
Do you want to read that one for us? Do you want to read it?
So there was a lot of background noise because I was holding the iPad over here and there were teachers coming in and kids unpacking. So that's what was going on, and the microphone was aimed towards me. So that's just a quick glimpse. The rest of this more is on the Blend Space if you want to look a little bit more into how we organize independent reading in our context. But you can learn a lot just from a 1-minute clip. And again, I didn't realize any of that was going on when I took the video.